welcome to Akul Mike Live. And today's session is based on the environment. As you know that there are a lot of activities going on in the area of environment conservation. And recently we have come back from COP26. In fact, the meeting is still going on, and the policy makers will be discussing and deciding the policies of the world. Uh, as we are live, friends, you can actually join in live through the link which is given in the description below. So moving on to the first item that I want to basically discuss with you, which I have personally analyzed, is about Mr. Modi's speech. In fact, he actually gave a lot of target to the Indian as a contribution for from Indian people to the world in the area of environment conservation during the COP26 meeting at Glasgow. And one of the key items for which Mr. Modi got mixed reaction was he is actually saying that India will attain net zero carbon emission by 2070, whereas the global target has been set to 2050. So a lot of people say that, hey, this is not a target at all, because when the world is going to increase by 3 degrees, the world temperature, unless we reduce the carbon emission to net zero by 2050, 2070 is no good. But I think we have to analyze this whole item which Mr. Modi has set upon. In fact, he did not even shy from taking very steep targets for India. And imagine the situation, large countries like Russia and China were the absentees in this initiative, which should be every human, everyone's priority at this point in time. But they were absent in this very important meeting which concerns the world. And while that is the situation, then the in the among the group of people, India became the most populous country which were present during COP26. And in this meeting, Mr. Modi said that there are very hefty target. After 9 years, within just 9 years, we want to become almost 100% on the electric vehicle front, which is one of the major cause of pollution in the environment. And also the power generation in a huge country like India of with a huge population of 1.3, 1.4 billion people, it is not easy to provide power, to provide the needs of transportation, and so on. So I think this is very, very important to take the target upon itself, saying that 50% of the electric production will be from unconventional sources by 2030. So I think these two targets in itself are very, very hefty. And if we are able to adhere to these target, the the next target of net zero carbon emission looks in grasp. I mean, if you look at it, it looks within reach. As of now, net zero target looks at for India is at 2070. But if we are able to finish these 10 years and bring almost like a billion vehicles on the electric on the road, using electric vehicles which are not polluting at all, and also the power generation, because currently the power generation in India happens through thermal power predominantly, which is very, very polluting. We all know that. At the same time, the coal comes from the mines, so there is a whole machinery. There is a whole lot of even the human dependency is there, because there are a lot of people who are getting employed in that mining activity, transportation of the coal, and then burning the coal and producing power at the thermal power plants. So there is a whole lot of economy around it, and I think we have to look at it how we can gradually bring that thing down and convert them into a solar power plant without affecting the people who are employed there. So there has to be a plan. You can't do it in a knee jerk, in a knee jerk manner. You have to plan things, and a 10 years timeline set upon India to migrate from 50% power generation to unconventional, moving away from the conventional sources, is a very big target, because we have a grid to maintain. We have um, new investment required in terms of setting up the thermal, the unconventional wind or solar or water or any other means. of power generation, and the power requirements of individuals are going up. And if we have to look at the other way, friends, I mean, if we have to look at the not using LPG for producing not using LPG in long run for making our food, which is again coming from the from the fossil fuel, uh, which will further reduce. So that means we have to migrate our food production at home to electricity, to electric burners, etc. But I think look at the commitment of the Indian government. They have moved a large chunk of society to use LPG at this moment, which were actually using wood or coal to make their food in their homes. And considering the fact that there is so much poverty, I mean, in terms of sheer number, the sheer percentage may not be very high in India, but if you look at that percentage also, the small percentage, the numbers itself is huge. It's the amount of poverty we in India have today may be equal to a couple of countries, the size of the few countries. So migrating all of them from burning wood to LPG is a job which is already accomplished and already finished. And moving to the next level where everything migrates onto electricity, which is very clean. You need to make investments, you need to make arrangement, etc. Some of these things Prime Minister Modi has been talking about, yeah, even when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And in his state also, when he was managing the affairs of the state, the government department did not follow things very openly initially, until unless they were told, they were given a very good briefing with examples that how this is beneficial for the benefit of all. The government department actually started gradually warming up to the idea of environment friendly living. And then that is why the Gujarat model, as we call it now, has been a very successful model of living with the environment in harmony. Now the same thing has been happening in India even before COP26. It's not that the COP26 happened yesterday and we just woke up. I think the lot of endeavors are already going on, so that we were able to commit to these very very steep targets for ourselves. So when Mr. Modi was talking about, as a Prime Minister of India, about having uh, harmonious living with the environment, the government department have to carry that policy forward. They have to implement plans, and they have to ensure that their machinery or administration is well oiled, and things are moving in the right direction. So considering all that, some of the departments were not gearing up. However, the speech of Mr. Modi not only gave a message to the world that a large country like India is able to adhere to these targets and also take very hefty target upon itself, and also sending a message back home to some of these ministries. For example, in India, there are ministries which are power ministry, which is doing excellent, exceptional work at this point in time. But then there are other cooperation required, like for example, transportation, and there are other ministries which needs to work together. In fact, all the government departments need to work together to live up to this target which has been set for next 10 years. So there are a lot of dependency. I think this is a message which has come for the for the government corporations and government departments right from Glasgow, via his speech, saying or giving indication that the working will change, the policies will change. I think this is like preparing the government department to implement what is going to come next. So I think this is my analysis of the speech of Mr. Modi. Forget the politics behind it, because when people say that, hey, 2070 is too far off, but imagine a situation if 20% people of the world reduce the carbon footprint by almost 50%, then the 2070 will basically, which will be much sooner, to achieve net zero target for India as a country, will be much sooner. So and I think one thing will lead to other. So if we are on electric vehicles, it will start a new kind of revolution. If we are generating unconventional methods, powered by unconventional method, then it will lead to something else, because progression will happen in that direction. And whatever we are progressing right now will change, shift gear, and start working towards another direction. So friends, this is something that I thought I will analyze and bring it to you. Do send in your comments. Better, if you are live right now, you can actually join this discussion by clicking on the link which has been provided in the description. I will join you soon again.